Hello and welcome once again to the 888.com World Pool Championships here in Blackpool. Well, whenever Australia and England get together in a sporting contest, it's always a great occasion. The atmosphere here at the Hilton Hotel this evening is absolutely superb as England's Darren Appleton is about to take on Australia's Quinton Hann for the final semi-final spot. To keep everything nice and fair, I'm delighted to say we've invited the Australian team captain, Alec Everynardis, into the studio. Alec, good to see you.
Hi, Mark.
Who do you think is going to win tonight?
I think Quinton will win.
Why is that? Just being biased?
Well, partly, but he's a past world champion. He's proved himself here. He lives on TV on the big tables and enjoys the game of pool, so he's here for a big challenge.
Now, the English love competing against the Australians. Do the Australians see it that way?
I think so, yeah. There's a bit of rivalry there all the time.
Now, I've been told I'm not allowed to mention the rugby tonight, so I won't mention the rugby. We'll concentrate on the pool. This is what's happened in the quarterfinals so far. Mick Hill, a very good win over Yannick Beaufils. Jason Twist, 9-8 over Carl Morris. That match was absolutely incredible. A re-rack in the deciding frame. And then we saw Brian Holcroft, 9-0, the first man ever to whitewash somebody on television in the World Championships over Cedric Soberville. And now we've got Appleton up against Quinton Hann. First of all, Appleton's route through to the quarterfinals. He's had some fairly tough matches, but he's in good form, isn't he?
I think he's playing quite well, yes. There's no doubt about that.
Do you think he's got enough to give Hann a tough battle tonight?
Well, he's a player that's capable of break finishing.
You look at those results, in 2 matches, he's only dropped 2 frames.
It's pretty awesome, really, isn't it?
You've got to admit that, haven't you?
Oh, yes, very much.
OK, Quinton Hann, though, look at that new hairdo, sporting a Mohican. I just saw it 2 minutes ago. It did shock me. Phil Harrison defeating the number 2 seed in the last 16. Impressive win.
Yeah, I watched that frame, that 7-all frame, and Quinton played it, flawless. It was a good frame and never in doubt of losing that frame. So.
And he's got some support here this evening, hasn't he?
Yes, the Aussies are here in full force.
It promises to be a superb match. This is for the final semi-final spot. For the intros, let's join Alan Hughes.
Thank you, Mark, and we welcome a former world champion and one of the most exciting players in the modern-day game. And the Wizard of Oz has an army of fans all over the world. His opponent going for the only title to elude him in what has been a fantastic career, and he enters the arena as the current European champion. Ladies and gentlemen, together, will you welcome the action man Quinton Hann and Dynamite Darren Appleton.
In the final quarter-final, Quinton Hann sporting a pretty wild hairdo, and he'll be up against the number 8 seed Darren Appleton as they shake hands in the opening frame, and it's going to be Appleton to break off. This is a match that everybody's been waiting for. Appleton against Hann. Hann, of course, won this world title back in 1999. Appleton, he's bidding to win his first one ever. It's going to be the Yorkshireman to break off. And there you see Appleton give it the big splash, but nothing's gone in.
Open table.
Joining me in the commentary box, a very interested spectator, himself an Australian, and I expect you'll be rooting for Quinton Hann tonight. Is Joe Fanto, the president of the World 8-Ball Pool Federation. And Joe, what's he done with his hair?
That's what I was going to ask you, Tony. I've never seen him in this mood before. Yes, it is. We're looking forward to a great match tonight. All the Aussies are out there in force, as you can see them in the front 2 rows.
30 seconds. And it's a packed house, and there you see the Australian support for Quinton Hann. Very familiar to people who watch snooker and pool alike. Unbelievably, he's gone in off his first ball.
2 visits.
And that's 2 visits to Appleton. And also in the commentary box with me, our referee, Mr. Sean Baker, here again.
Thank you, Tony. I think this is the match that everybody has been waiting for in these championships. Ever since the draw came out, it was always likely that these 2 players would meet in this quarter-final. And the place is just, the excitement's been building, I think, throughout the week.
Well, these 2 have only met once before. back in 99 when
30
Hann
seconds.
went on to win the title. Hann had beaten Appleton 9-8 then. Incredible game of pool.
Tony, do you think there'd be any nerves out there for these two experienced players?
Well, I know Darren Appleton is really keyed up for this match, and he's very experienced on the TV. And
Yellow ball's in play.
Quinton Hann, well, you probably won't get a pulse out of him. He's, like Alex said in the studio, he lives on television. So I think the nerves will be down to a minimum. But Appleton very quick there to pot and kick the bad ball out. Keeping his 2 visits.
I think that's what you'll see Darren do a lot of, Tony. He always attacks that difficult ball first if he's got one. Tries to kick it out, get it out in the open, and then he's keeping his 2 visits in hand, maybe for later in the frame if he does get into any sort of trouble.
They would expect Darren to go out here.
Well, yes, that's right. You would expect Darren to finish from here. But this is the hard frame. Well, one of the hard frames is the first one. Just got to calm yourself down. Just get used to being in the arena again. And there is always that in the back of Appleton's mind that he is playing Quinton Hann. You've got to remember, he's never been beaten as Hann on the televised stage. The only times he's ever been knocked out of this World Championships is the rounds before the TV, and that's on a smaller table, so the bigger table obviously suiting the Australian.
Quinton sitting there patiently.
Well, he'll be sitting there a while because this frame is dead. Appleton now with a simple task here, and you'll hear a big cheer if this goes in. Down goes the black. And it's the English fans that are happy as Appleton takes the first frame. Appleton leading Hann by 1 frame to 0. Well, Hann breaking off now in frame 2. Sticking to the centre of the table for the break-off. And Hann's made a ball.
Yellow ball potted.
Well, it's a yellow ball that's gone down, and Joe, it's important that Quinton Hann gets his hand on the table and gets a feel for the arena himself as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he's looking for a confidence boost here, and particularly with his first break. At least he's got a ball off the break. I can recall him having trouble potting balls off the break here before.
30 seconds.
Well, he's taking the yellow balls, taking this yellow along the rail into this pocket that we can see in front of us. And that one wiped his feet. We'll have another look at that. Sure, Hann thought that was going to stay there. Did catch the rail along the way, though. And Sean, have you ever reffed any of Hann's matches?
Unfortunately, no, I haven't actually reffed Quinton Hann. I was on the next table to him during the last 16 round when he played Phil Harrison, and he was, if I remember right, he was 2 or 3 frames in front, and then I did see a couple of break shots, and as Joe said before, he had a little bit of trouble getting a ball off the break, but he managed to keep his head together, and as Alex said in the studio, he made a very good clearance in the deciding frame to take the match 8-7.
What a great shot there from Hann. Really thumped that one up the rail. I'm not sure he wanted the keyboard that far down the table, though. If he's going to attack this, he might have no choice but to take this ball that's over the pocket next. Probably won't want to because that's his security ball. Well, he surveyed the situation.
30 seconds.
And there you see the accuracy of Hann.
I think his snooker background came in there, Tony. Long pot up the length of the table. It's wouldn't be such a long shot for him, if you like, on a snooker table, but it's certainly an excellent pot.
Well, there was no movement at all as he struck that ball. playing the double into the centre. Oh, and he's rattled it in the jaws.
Red ball's in play.
Come on, Darren, as he comes to the table. Now, can he get that red past the yellow in the bottom right-hand corner?
He should at least be able to take the pocket, even if it doesn't go in.
Now, as you're seeing there, if the yellow
30 seconds.
would hit the jaw and come back again. Obviously wants to be in a better spot to do this. Now he's going to try and place red and shunt the yellow out of this bag. And that's a very good shot there from Appleton. And Hann now is in trouble again. Don't think he's left him a finish. The only chance would be if that yellow slid past the black ball and went along the bottom rail into that bottom left-hand corner. The one thing that Hann may struggle with is tactics. It's one of the most attacking players you'll ever see on a pool table. When it comes to the safety aspect,
30 seconds.
Sometimes he can be found wanting, Sean.
I don't know about that, Tony, but certainly Darren is a master tactician. I've seen him and refereed him in frames that you will never ever think that he's going to win this frame, and he is patient and he keeps going, and eventually he just grinds the opponent down and wins the frame.
Well, that ball was miles away and he's fluked to yellow into the middle pocket. And there you see Hann not acknowledging that he had a fluke there. No apology to Appleton, as most players do. But just look at the distance he missed that pot by. Just not comfortable at the moment, Quinton Hann.
I think he might just be taking a little bit of time to adjust to the match table, Tony, which is always a little bit quicker than in the practice room.
30 seconds.
Under the lights and with the brushing and ironing of the table beforehand.
Well, Hann went for a wild double there in the corner. And all he's done is put his other yellow at the bottom of the table in a lot more trouble.
I think he was actually trying to double that ball and then come here and knock this yellow out.
Well, I expect, Joe, you don't see much of Quinton Hann in Australia now because he's based here in England, isn't he?
Yes. No, we unfortunately we don't get to see much at all in Australia.
Well, there you see Hann coming out of the snooker and clipping the yellow, but the cue ball's gone in the corner, and that's another 2 visits to Appleton.
Time running.
And Appleton will be quite happy with that. As you see that shot there, good shot from Appleton. Used the red into the cushion to go into the yellow and red. Pot is red and kick the yellow out of the way. Now he's opened everything up. He's got this red at the top of the table. Quinton Hann looks on.
And this is another easy clearance for Darren.
Yes, right, Joe. You've got to say that Appleton is not going to miss from here.
And the thing about Darren is if he gets 2 or 3 frames in front, he's a very steely competitor, and he won't let anything faze him. He won't let, if Quinton is playing erratically, he won't let that affect him at all. He'll just get on with the game, he'll just play his shots, and he won't worry too much about what his opponent's doing.
Well, no, Hann is many people's favourite to win this match. But Appleton has got other ideas. And that's a great shot from Appleton. He's looking full of confidence. Just looking where he wants the cue ball. Anywhere in that sort of dustbin lid area. And he'll have a clear shot at the black ball. And this black for a 2-0 lead. And he's just taking his time. He's very worried if he did miss it, it would go safe. That's the other visit in hand, but it doesn't need it.
Right.
Appleton's knocked in the black, and he now leads by 2 frames to 0 against Quinton Hann.
By 2 frames to 0.
Frame number 3 of a possible 17. It's our last quarter final. this year's 888.com World Pool Championships.
Darren's looking very determined.
Well, come on,
Just look what he's done with the cue ball.
One visit, open table.
Got a couple of balls as well on top.
Time running.
And this is just what Quinton Hann needs. He needs to get the feel of this table. When he was on the practice table, it's never been ironed, and for the last couple of days, and it's very, very slow, the practice table. I'd say this is probably about 7 or 8 times faster.
I think Quinton was just checking there with the referee whether he'd got 1 or 2 visits as well. So I'm not sure whether he's 100% up on the rules these days, having not played them for a couple of years.
Well, the thing with Hann is he plays that many cue sports. I mean, Joe, you know, back in Australia, he's probably one of the best all-rounders in the game.
Well, some people will argue that he's one of the best all-rounders,
Red balls
in
in
the world.
play.
We've seen Hann, he's a very good 9-ball player. He's one of the world's top snooker players. And he's also been world champion at this. But anybody needs to get a feel for the table, and that's
Yellow
a poor
balls in
shot
play.
from Hann.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't hit his straps yet.
Well, for such a good potter, disappointing shot from Quinton.
Yeah, I think local league on a Sunday night, everybody had been clapping and saying what a great shot that was to cover the bag, but not at this level. You wouldn't have expected him to have missed by quite a margin there.
Well, especially when we know that Hann is such an attacking player. He's not
30 seconds.
deliberately going to go out and try and cover bags and play safe.
Yeah, Quinton's going to have to find his game because otherwise Darren Appleton's not going to wait for him tonight.
Well, Hann, they're just trying to loosen his arm up. He wasn't actually cueing at anything in particular. He's just not happy with the way he's cueing. He's one of the tallest, well, he's probably the tallest player left in the tournament, certainly. He's around 6'3" or 4". Well, just look at the frustration on Hann's face. He's gone marching off out of the arena. Well, if he comes much further, he'll be in with us. Well, Appleton won't be affected by any of that. He's going to concentrate on what he's got to do.
He's probably gone to find himself.
30 seconds.
And you see Quinton Hann limbering up. He's definitely out of sorts, Quinton Hann. And it's Appleton at the table. He's going to try and cover this corner pocket. And he's left a gap. Now Hann has a real chance in this frame, and Appleton knows it as a careless one. I wonder if he's distracted by Hann leaving the arena.
Yeah, that was very unusual to see.
Well, Hann just sizing up. He's going to take the easy one over the pocket first. You know there's a gap there where his hand is for that other red.
It's unusual. I don't think Darren will be affected by that little incident earlier there. Darren's normally pretty focused for this.
There's a nice strike of the ball there from Hann. Play this red down the line into the top right hand corner. Bring the cue ball into the centre of the table. Now you see his cue action straight as a die, which is what you'd expect from a sublime cueist like Quinton Hann. He's got that swagger around the table. He's cocksure of himself. He's going to finish. And that can only stand him in good stead, and that's a very nice shot there. He's now on the plant into the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, he's just got to make sure he gets this right here, Tony. Didn't leave the red tucked up behind the yellow. No, he's played that perfectly.
And now he's got the simple task of just get rid of the last red, just bring the cue ball out a couple of inches. He's on the 8 ball. And this simple 8 to chalk his first one on the board. Down goes the 8 ball, and Hann fires a warning to Appleton. It's now 2-1 here in Blackpool. Well, on the break spot now is Quintin Hann. He's just got his first frame on the board. He's got a right little smile there. He needs to sort out this break shot.
Trailing by 2 frames to 1.
Cue ball very central again. All the other players in the tournament breaking from the side, but not Quintin Hann. But he's made a ball. And you hear the Aussies all cry there, trying to get behind their man. I'm sure you are as well, Joe.
I'm certainly quietly trying to get behind my man, but I certainly know that his opponent is a worthy quarter-finalist, and in Darren Appleton.
Well, he has knocked in that red. The one major problem is the red down towards the bottom. If it slides past yellow in the bottom right-hand corner, not such a big problem, but he'll only have half a pocket. Now his hand on the red in the centre. Well, he obviously is. Well, Sean, he's very smooth around the table, isn't he, Hann? He's not going to be rushed by anybody.
No, he's certainly taking his time here, using his minute to full advantage, make sure he's just composed.
30 seconds.
Particularly how the start he had, where he does seem a little bit out of sorts.
There's Alec Everinardis, who's just popped out the studio to have a look into the arena. But Hann now has just got to control the cue ball here. It's not that easy. He's got a hold for the red that's at the top as well, putting this in the middle. And he's come all the way around the table, and I'll tell you what, he's been very fortunate there. Well, to land on that red at the bottom, I'm sure he's trying to land on the one into the top right-hand pocket.
I think what you'll see is just a nice little nudge on this yellow to the left of the red. It just gives him the angle for the pot.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's overdone that one. Now he's left himself a very thin cut into the top right-hand corner, and the cue ball's going to be travelling. Well, ideally he wanted a slight angle on this red just to drop the cue ball onto the right-hand rail, and he could have got to the black in the bottom left-hand corner that way, but he's not achieved it, and now it's going to be the thin cut into the corner. He's gone for the double. Oh, that's an amazing shot from Hann, but does the black pass?
I think that face tells you there that I don't think it goes.
Well, he's okay, and you can see it's very, very tight indeed into that middle pocket.
Just goes into the middle.
But just look where the cue ball is. This is tough cueing. And there you see he's clipped the red, oh sorry, the yellow even with it. And Hann has just put his hand on the table. He's just given Appleton the frame.
That's unbelievable, Tony. I've never seen that in top-class pool. I've never, ever seen that done before. That's just unbelievable.
Well, Hann has given the frame to Appleton. Appleton now has a 3-1 lead, but let's just look at the miss with the black. There you see Hann getting the yellows with his hand in the cue. Have the frame, Darren, he said. Well, it's Darren Appleton to break off in frame number 5, 3-1 up. He didn't have a lot of work to do in the last frame. Darren Appleton actually won the last frame without having a shot. Well, he's made nothing of the break, and just look at the yellows. But Hann, you just don't know what's going to happen next. He's got to take on the yellows. Going in the centre pocket here. And then it
Yellow
goes.
ball's in play.
Well, he is a maverick, that's for sure, Quinton Hann.
I think he's got us all on edge now, wondering what he's going to do next.
Quinton Hann. It's interesting, when he won his world title in 1999, he was very quick through the balls. And this year he's been taking his time. And a few mistakes have crept in already.
That's one of the things I noticed, Tony, when I did see, say, a couple of his frames on the adjacent match, when I was on the adjacent table rather than the last 16. He certainly wasn't running around the table like we've seen him do in the past. He was certainly taking his time and trying to make sure he was making the best of his visits to the table.
Well, he only beat Phil Harrison 8-7 in his last 16 match. And he had to rely on a very big finish in the deciding frame to win that one.
I expect his step around the table will increase if he starts to get a couple of frames under his belt and confidence builds.
And Appleton, on the other hand, had a comfortable last 16 win against Rona McCarthy by 8 frames to 2.
Joe, you've obviously seen him play quite a bit more than we have. Is he that kind of player that once he gets 2 or 3 frames under his belt and his confidence lifts, it will lift his confidence?
I expect it will, and I'll be honest, I've only seen him play pool here at these World Championships because he doesn't play too much at all in Australia.
He's played a decent shot there, Hann. Just going to have to cut this yellow at the top. Just drop it in that left-hand corner. Just got to bring the cue ball across the table and back again for the yellow at the bottom of the table. And he's played that shot very well indeed. And the black ball is available in the bottom right-hand corner. Now you see he's got a nice straight yellow. He's just got to screw back about 8 to 9 inches. He'll have an easy black ball. Just maybe by giving the last frame away to Appleton, he stopped him having any practice on the cloth. Easy black in the corner. Down it goes and hands back. Appleton now leads by 3 frames to 2. The Australians back in the match. Quinton Hann to break in frame 6. This man is pure box office. He breaks and pots a yellow, and the white's in the middle of the table, and this spread looks superb for him. Well, with that break off, he's got a great chance to level the match here.
Yeah, just had a little nod to himself there, Tony. I don't know whether that was just the confidence booster he needed. But he's thinking, yeah, I can do these. I'm back in this game.
That was a
Red Bull's nominated.
Well, he's looking at the red balls, Quinton Hann.
30 seconds.
Red ball's in play. Tried to knock that red ball off the cushion, didn't succeed. The only shot really he's got available now is the red that's over the bag at the top right hand of the table. There you see it again, he just tried to bump it off the rail. He's not happy again.
Not quite sure, Tony, why he was trying to bump it off the rail. It's in quite a nice bottable position to that top right-hand bag. Particularly with this ball, he's got over the right-hand middle. It would afford him some position to get on that.
Quinton Hann just rubbed into the red and yellow on the left-hand centre. I don't think it'll pot in the top left-hand corner. Have to come downstairs for it. Maybe it will, because now the route he's going to have to go is playing this red in the top right-hand corner. And straight back down the same rail, but down the other side. Rail at the bottom. And his last red now is going to be the one that's stuck to that yellow left centre. He's negotiated that pot with ease. Now he just wants to run the cue ball down the table.
Look, well, there's his contrasting styles between himself and Darren. He's leaving that difficult ball to the last here by the look of it, and it's not normally the shot that, say, a lot of the players will do.
I expect you'll play that hard red into the top right. Or
well, he just wants to drop this in and sit cue ball behind the red ball that's stuck to that yellow. No need to move it, but well, this must go past into that top left-hand corner. And it obviously does, because he's coming around to look to make sure the black goes now.
I think we've all been deceived there, Tony. I don't think any of us thought that went past that yellow.
There you see the textbook stance of Quinton Hann, and it will go. And Hann has knocked that one in like it wasn't there, and he's got a straight black ball now into the bottom right-hand corner, and this to level the match. And down it goes. Quinton Hann makes it 3-3. Fantastic finish. Well, it is Appleton. Look at that for a split for Appleton.
Yellow ball potted.
Red balls look the order of the day.
Red ball's nominated.
He's very lucky there with that cue ball. He had a couple of goes at trying to get into that right-hand middle pocket.
yeah, red balls are nicely spread for Darren here.
Well, they are indeed, Joe. Has to pot one of the reds to be on them.
30 seconds.
You hear the 30-second call. Still taking his time.
Probably trying to visualise the clearance.
I know Appleton, I've played him loads of times,
Red ball's in play.
and he does like to plot his route from start to finish before he sets off.
Please check the phones, make sure they're off, please.
Maybe a little bit distracted by somebody's phone. Still switched on in the crowd. You see the packed arena behind Appleton there. Everybody wanted to see this one.
Yeah, I think you find there's a lot of supporters come over from West Yorkshire for this match. They've been planning this, to say, ever since the last 16 matches were settled. And I think you'll find there's quite a few West Yorkshire accents in that crowd tonight.
And I think I can see most of the Australian contingent in the crowd as well.
Appleton with his straight red in the centre. Strokes it in. And really, you've got to fancy Appleton to finish him here. He's taking his time because he hasn't been out of his chair and in the middle of the table for, like I said before, a few frames.
Yeah, this is Appleton's forte. He'll, as Joe said, he's visualising, plotting his way around those balls. He knows which he wants to take and where he wants to leave that cue ball, and he's just taking his time, and he's just going to stroke these balls in.
Well, one thing about Appleton, he's brilliant at working out his finishes. Very rarely misses. Another good shot there from Appleton, and now that's perfect.
Making it look quite easily.
Well, this is all stop the cue ball dead stuff now. He's got a little angle on this last red. He's going to just drop behind the black ball on the bottom rail. And once again, Appleton's going to get himself back in front. Easy black ball in the corner. Down it goes, and Appleton now leads Hann by 4 frames to 3. Stop the rock. Frame number 8. Appleton's 1 in front. And Hann has not made a ball.
He had a red ball there that jawed on the left-hand middle and stayed out. So it was virtually in the pocket. Virtually in the pocket, and the top right-hand side as well. Top right-hand pocket. And it was a little bit unlucky there that he didn't make a ball on the break.
Well, nothing easy really for Darren Appleton. The easiest ball he's got is a red ball at the bottom of the table, which I feel he's got to take.
30 seconds. Red ball's in play.
If Darren's going out, trying to go out here, he might have an angle here, just to that top right-hand red, not beside the yellow, to the left of the yellow. He could play it onto the other red, pop the one red ball and kick the other red ball out. He's certainly having a look at it yet. He's looking at certainly kicking that yellow away and leaving it open for himself to
30 seconds.
take the finish here. He's been a little bit unlucky there. Not quite worked out as he intended.
Well, Appleton tried to kick that red out. It's not happened. Now he's got problems. He could maybe double the red across from the left-hand side over to that top right-hand corner.
Walking around the table.
30 seconds.
I think he's looking for an option here to try and maybe split that red and yellow up again. Whether he's going to try it here, I don't know. That's certainly Darren's game. Yeah, he's tried it.
Great shot.
Fantastic.
Tremendous shot.
He's got a 2-1 as he's on the red as well, just across from the black ball. That was a superb shot there from Darren Appleton. Had to play that red very, very thin, come back, kick the other one and put them both in the same shot, and he's still in great position.
Yeah, that was a brilliant shot, Tony, and it's made this frame for him.
Yeah, I think you'll hear some volume at the end of this frame if Darren takes these balls out now. All those supporters, say, from the West Yorkshire area, and also the England team that will be out there supporting him, I'm sure.
Well, he's got the perfect angle. He's seen where he wants to be with the cue ball. I think he wanted to come up a little bit further than that. He's down very quickly. His last red is in, and the cue ball's come back. He's played it brilliantly. This black to restore his 2-frame lead. Down it goes. Appleton now leads by 5 frames to 3 here in Blackpool. Well, Appleton has got to be very happy with that. Look at this shot from Darren Appleton. Thin cut. Not the red in the corner, the 2-in-1. Brilliant shot from Appleton. That put him in perfect position. He knocked in his final 2 reds. And then he left himself with a simple 8 into the corner pocket.
Well, it's certainly living up to all expectations. The players just leaving the arena for their mid-session interval. And Alec, are you pleased with your man's form at the moment?
Well, I think so. It was an interesting decision he made there to concede the frame a couple of shots ago, a couple of frames ago, when he just knocked the balls and started again.
I know a few people sort of went against that, but you look at it, he's 3-1 down, he's conceded the frame, still 7 yellows on the table. He's come out, he's won the next 2, as if nothing's happened. Well, that's the kind of player he is, isn't it?
I think he's letting Darren know when he can have a shot. In other words,
really?
Yeah, well, trying to control the table from his seat, in other words.
but he is 5-3 down.
Correct, yes.
So there must be some concerns, because Appleton, to me, at the moment, looks very, very controlled. He's got a lot of support out there, and if Hann is going to win this evening, he's got to do something special.
Well, and maybe after the break, he might have some words with his manager, and away he'll go.
You're very laid back, very confident. The big question is, can Quinton Hann get back into this match? Join us after the break to find out.
Frame, Quinton Hann to break, trailing by 5 frames to 4.
Well, it's Hann to break off in frame 10. Pulled to within 1 of Appleton. He knows he needs a bull off the break because Appleton's playing very well indeed himself. Took out some great finishes and there's nothing gone in, and look how quick Appleton is out of his chair.
You know, it was there, Tony, as well. Quinton went to the side for that break. Tried to come into the side of the front ball, and he's nearly made one, I think, on the right-hand middle.
Yes, he's noticed he changed his break position. He's going to screw the cue ball across to the rail on the right-hand side.
Red ball's in play.
He's landed a bit close to that, and I didn't want to be just there. Look how close the cue ball is to the red. I don't think he can make the pot in the bottom corner.
It was unusual there. It was a poor shot from down, actually.
Very awkward. It's restricted him considerably on the next shot.
While he's trying to cut this down the rail, the cue's in the air. Cue ball's going to be travelling. Oh, it's a great shot from Appleton. But just look what happened there. He's just cannoned the yellow and covered up that red left side of the table, just below the middle bag.
I think he still might be able to get through it to it, Tony. There is a gap between those 2 yellows, and if he can leave it sort of somewhere just below the black, I think he can get through to it.
But he'd need to work his way towards it, though. It's not on at the moment.
Certainly not, Joe, no. He's got the option to maybe take this ball in the right-hand corner and get back for that. And if he only has to drop it in, he's got the ball for the left-hand corner as an option as well.
Well, he could try and move it, because that gap is very small that he's going to have to land in. Now you see Appleton probably keen to take it out as early as possible. Appleton always quick to get rid of his problems on the table, and that's his best option. If he can get rid of it now, he opens up the frame for himself. And Quinton Hann's wondering whether he's going to get out of his chair during this frame. Well, Appleton, when he's been at the table, hasn't missed anything. The frames that Hann's won have been all from his own hard work. He's left himself a little bit tight here. As you can see, you can just get through to it, but he can't get on, pot it on the right-hand side. He might have to come off the cushion first here.
Yeah, off the cushion might be a little bit easier.
The only other option is to maybe just bend the cue ball, but it's a long stretch down the table if he's going to play that.
30 seconds.
Playing off the cushion would be safer. You keep more control.
Well, no, he's just trying to swing the cue ball round now, look. Well, he's left the cue ball very close to the rail, and it's going to be hard to get on his last red. He's going to have to pot this along the bottom rail into the right-hand corner and screw the cue ball back to nearly where he is now, because it's available in the right-hand centre.
This is a very tough shot, Tony. I don't think he can get the cue high enough here to get that cue ball back.
Might even attack the red now in the centre of the table. He could put it into the right-hand centre, cue ball off the top rail, and try and guide the white back through the yellows and down to the bottom.
30 seconds.
Well, he knows he can't get the cue ball back, so he's going to have to run this in. And it'll be a long red now into the top right-hand corner for Appleton. Position. Well, I wonder if you can just run the red into the top corner. The cue ball then might just cannon into that yellow that's just to the left of it and push himself onto the black. Well, he rubbed the yellow, but he didn't hit it hard enough, and now I don't think the black goes in the bottom right-hand corner. And judging by his reaction at the moment, it doesn't go.
No, he can only snick the black by the look of it.
Well, Appleton now. No easy shot from here.
I think that's the first time Darren's shown any signs of a little bit of frustration in this match as well. He seemed to keep himself well in control up until that point. And so he's just got a little bit frustrated with that shot that he's played. He'd never quite had control of the cue ball there and just kept leaving it more awkward each shot.
Yeah, I think he realises the importance of this game and how he had the opportunity to get some frames up.
Well, Appleton's tried a cross double, never had the pace on it.
Yellow ball's in play.
And now Hann comes to the table. Nothing obstructing him. He came a long way down the table there, Hann, but it's not going to faze him. Still in good position. He could actually land anywhere and still be on a yellow.
Yeah, he's quite a tall player, Tony, as you said earlier, so he's not going to have any problem reaching or down the table for any ball here. Just leaves the cue ball somewhere in the middle of the table and all those balls will pop. Just got to get the right position for his getting onto the black ball, which I think he's doing now. He's leaving this ball at the bottom of the table.
Another solid pot there from Hann. To get on his last yellow, just wants to leave himself a slight angle just to run down for the black ball.
And it's this frame to level the match.
Well, he's come too far. And now Hann is probably going to have to bring the cue ball all the way around the houses and all the way back down for the black. You see his eyes just darting around the table looking at his angles.
Yeah, I think we see an exhibition style shot here, Tony.
You've got to be very careful with the cue ball. Now is that close to the corner pocket. And just look where the cue ball landed. I'll tell you what, this isn't a gimme either. He's got a cue all over the top of the pocket.
Quite an awkward pot, this one.
This for 5-all. And the black's down and Hann has levelled the match. Nearly went in off his last ball, but it's 5-5 now here in Blackpool. Frame number 11, nothing to choose between these two players. Appleton 5, Hann 5, and it's Appleton breaking off. There goes the Appleton slam. It's got a red off the break.
And a yellow, Tony, I think, as well.
Red and yellow balls potted.
Well, I didn't see the yellow going, but I trust you, Sean.
Yeah, went into the middle.
I think you heard the referee call red and yellow balls potted there, Tony, so he's got a choice here. And whatever he pots next, he'll be on.
Well, I feel that Appleton's going to have to take yellows. Once again, we're going to look at Appleton's break-off.
There goes the yellow in the middle.
I've seen it now. Now I really feel Appleton must take the yellows here. They're a lot easier than the reds.
Yellow ball's in play.
And there you see he's took the yellows. And Hann, once again, probably is not going to get his nose in front. Appleton's got a great chance of an out here.
Yeah, great opportunity for Darren to get his hand on the table again here. Get some rhythm and hopefully put the pressure back on for Quinton as far as he's concerned. I've been watching...
Darren's certainly taking his time over these shots.
I've been watching Darren all week in the hotel, around the pool room. He seemed very relaxed. Past years he seemed a bit nervous, a bit on edge, but he's been laughing and joking. He's sort of like, say, a very relaxed character this week. And whether this is helping him, remained a lot more focused on the table, I don't know. It's certainly a different approach this year from Darren.
Well, he's still not happy, and he must be running out of time a bit now. Well, I'll tell you what, he must be fairly close to the clock there. All of a sudden he changed his mind and hit that ball very quickly into the centre.
Didn't quite see whether he had a little look up at the clock, Tony, which is at this end of the table. But like you say, he certainly seemed to get down very quickly then. Play his shot.
Well, it's looking very smooth now. Looks like he's got the angle just to run the cue ball up the top of the table now for his furthest yellow. He can play the next yellow in the centre and the black will be down in the bottom right-hand corner.
He's still having a very good look and taking nothing for granted.
Well, he can't afford to take anything for granted against Quinton Hann. The finish is that man's pulled out in the last couple of frames. As he looks on. There's Mick Hill, who's our first semi-finalist. He's waiting to play his match soon. And that yellow straight into the pocket. Now Appleton, simple yellow. Now is he going to just settle for playing the cut down the rail with the black, or is he going to try and hit this a bit firmer and try and get the cue ball back? There you see, that's the cut. He's probably not going to force this. We've seen these balls spit out the pocket. And now he's got this cut down the rail. Some of the crowd getting rather nervous. And the black's down and Appleton is once again back in front. Crowd appreciate. Appleton now leads Hann by 6 frames to 5.
Trailing by 6 frames to 5.
Hann having a very good look at this pack. Not happy. Okay. Steve Brooker, our referee, a colleague of yours, Sean.
Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine, Steve, and Quinton there's having a good look over Steve's shoulder as he racks the balls.
Both players very meticulous about the break at this very important stage of the match.
Well, Hann again breaking from the side. Cuba was close. And the yellow at the top of the table falls in. Appleton was about to get out of his chair and then he just noticed it falling in.
Yeah, Darren was on his way to the table there. I think he was thinking, here we go, I've got a chance, but that yellow closest to him just trickled up to the pocket and dropped in.
Let's have a good look at the break off from Hann. You see it's a good split. Balls attacked tightly.
Yeah, it's always a sign of a good rack there. You'll see even the black will move, and the black's in the middle, packed tightly, say the ball's around it, but it still moves, and that is the sign of a good rack.
Well, these yellows are fairly open, and both these players now chucking bombs at each other.
I think they're both looking to try and win the serve, so to speak, as in tennis.
Well, Quinton Hann now, you've got to really fancy him to take this finish out. And they're like 2 thoroughbred racehorses going into the final 3 or 4 furlongs neck and neck. Appleton's head keeps going in front, but Hann keeps pulling him back. And there's an interested spectator from Malta. Snooker's Tony Drago. He actually played in this pool tournament. And he went out in the last 32 to actually one of his fellow countrymen, Ivan Rizzo.
And I was actually the referee on the match, Tony, as well. And it was 8-6 in a little matter of an hour. So it was a little bit frightening. I certainly had to get out of the way a couple of times when Tony was running around the table.
So did I, Sean, because I was playing on the next table and he kept bumping into me as well.
Oh, sorry about that, Tony.
30 seconds.
It's Quinton Hann. He's taking his time, Joe, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It's unusual for Quinton. He normally sights his shots very quickly and gets into it. And
maybe he just wants to keep Darren Appleton in his seat a bit longer. So he knows it'll be Appleton's break coming up next. Lovely control there from Hann. No, he hasn't got to do a lot with the cue ball here. He just wants to plop this yellow into the left-hand centre, leave himself a long black bottom right. And there goes the yellow ball waving bye-bye. And now this black to pull neck and neck again. And down it goes, and Hann levels us up once again in Blackpool. It's 6-6. Appleton now breaking from the side as always. Needs a ball off this one. It's going to come down, I think, this match to who doesn't get balls off the breaks. And Appleton again, a wonderful break.
That was a yellow on the top left.
Yellow ball.
At the table very quickly. Only had a glance, but Reds looked the ball. Once again, plenty of power in Appleton's break. Now, will he take the red balls?
I think he will, Tony, because that red that's over the right-hand middle is giving him an option to split that yellow away from the black, get the black out into a potable position.
Well, I think he might play that shot right now, because he just checked to see if the black was planting the yellow into the bottom right-hand corner, and I don't think it is.
Again, what we said about Darren earlier in the match, he likes to get that bad ball out very early on.
Well, he played it a different way, but it's still the same result.
Red ball's in play.
Just push the black over to the left-hand rail. And once again, we'll look at this. It's like a little billiard shot here. Played it very well indeed. He'd obviously like the black to be more central in the table, but beggars can't be choosers at this stage. He'll just be happy to be in amongst the balls and at the table.
Yeah, that was a feature of the match. As I said, I refereed earlier in the tournament with Tony Drago. He played lots of those shots where he was using one ball to move or pot another ball, and it was certainly shots that I wasn't used to seeing. So whether it's a snooker thing, I don't know.
Still good to see when they're doing it. Good to watch.
Well, Appleton's on his red at the bottom of the table. What he'd like to do is to take out that red that's just below the black as early as possible. Can't be leaving that till last ball. I'm sure he won't be. He could get there now. We could play a lot of top and side. Try and bring the cue off his bottom rail and up behind the red.
That's exactly what he's done, Tony.
But he's just left himself awkward cue, and he seemed to slap his hand on the table.
Yeah, the problem here is going to be reaching the full length, well, sort of 2/3 of the length of the table and trying to bridge over that ball. This is an incredibly difficult shot.
And there's the awkward cue, and he's going to be presented with, and this is how he got there. Lots of side on that red.
Time out.
And just look where he finished.
He's taking the spider rest here. As I suggested, it was a little bit too far for him to reach.
This is a fine piece of equipment, Sean, isn't it?
Oh yes. This is gets the players out of a little bit of trouble when particularly on the 8-foot table.
The only consolation is that all he has to do is triple it in and he'll be on the red in the middle.
He's going to just have to be a little bit careful positioning it.
I can tell you it's a very awkward piece of equipment to be playing with, is that?
He's asked now for the swan neck, which is a slightly different, it's like an extended spider, if you like.
I thought you were just making it up then, Sean.
No.
Time running.
Well, this is awkward. And he's made the pot.
Just had a little wobble that ball did before it got to the pocket, but it was played slow enough to drop in.
So what comes after the swan neck then, Sean? Is it like a flying trapeze?
No, I'm afraid, Tony, there isn't anything more than that. Although I have seen one or two players like Chris Melling take the normal rest on top of a swan neck or on top of a spider.
Yes, we have, but Appleton has made his pot. Now he's got this red into the centre. That's in. Played that very solidly indeed. He's a good shot. And he also just has now just to run this red into the top left-hand corner. He's going to trickle the cue ball through. Wants to land straight on that other red at the top, into the other top corner. And this will be a fine finish from Appleton, should he get it. Played that shot very well, and the crowd now starting to get more vociferous. Back he comes now for the black, and it's a very good finish this from Appleton under extreme pressure. Well, once again, it's going to be the Yorkshireman going in front. And down goes the black. Appleton now leads 7 frames to 6 here in Blackpool.
I notice he's breaking from the side, Tony.
He's made a ball. I'm not quite sure what it was.
Red ball potted.
You hear the referee, Steve Brooker, there. He's red ball potted.
Red ball's in play.
He made one straight into the centre bag at 100 mile an hour. Well, he can take the reds, it's quite easy. Plant up the rail, one over the middle.
I think he's already nominated reds to the referee. As you suggest, he's going to take that shot on first.
And there it goes, and now he's going to be attacking the 3 reds at the bottom of the table. And again, they're all available. And this is now turning into an absolute classic. Again, great cueing from Hann.
Yeah, I think the pressure in this match is swinging from frame to frame as each one breaks and finishes. It puts the pressure back on his opponent to make sure that they do the same in the next frame.
That's exactly right, Sean. It's who's going to crack first. And Hann now going to be playing the red at the bottom of the table. I think he's going to just try and drag the cue ball back with a bit of side and play that one into the middle next. He's played that very well indeed. He can just drop the ball into the left-hand centre. Sit the cue ball on the top left rail and go back in the opposite centre with the next red. In fact, he's going to screw back now and play it in the corner. Now, he's been short a couple of times in these shots. Well, I didn't even look back to that other top corner because he's on it perfectly.
Just got to be careful he doesn't catch this yellow here. Well, that's pretty good there from Quintin.
Well, he's left it a little bit short, but you've got a fancy hand to knock this in. He's taking his time looking at his angle where he needs to strike the black ball. And this shot is huge. This for 7-all. And he's missed it. Unbelievable. And he's given the game away.
I can't believe it.
Frame conceded.
Quintin Hann has again chucked the yellows down the table, and now Appleton leads by 8 frames to 6. It's going to be Darren Appleton to break us off.
Fight now, please.
15. Appleton's 8-6 up. He wants 1 frame to go through to the semis and put out the Australian Quintin Hann. And on one of the rare occasions,
Open table.
Appleton has not potted a ball off his break.
A little smile from Darren as well. It's a bit unusual for Darren during a frame, but I think it was a knowing smile that he's missed a chance there with nothing going down.
Well, there we are, seeing Appleton's break coming up dry, and Hann now needs every one of the last 3 remaining frames to advance through to the semi-finals.
30 seconds.
I think red balls could be the ball, and no, he's taking yellows.
Yellow ball's in play.
It's a strange choice that is, Tony, with that red on the left-hand side, near the left-hand corner pocket. I don't know what he's thinking here, I don't know.
Well, what if Quintin Hann, that's where he's looking to put the cue ball after this next shot. Trying to attack his problem ball early. Well, Hann
30 seconds.
Should have won the last frame. He missed that black and then just picked the balls up with his hand once again. Well, he's tried to go off the red with that.
Red ball's in
Half
play.
covered the pocket.
Gentlemen, I'm still lost for words after seeing Quinton concede 2 frames in a world championship.
Well, I have to say I think it's a bit crazy doing that. You got to see every frame out, especially when you're getting towards the end of the match.
Especially considering Darren could have just stepped to the table and potted out off the break, the way he'd been potting before off the break.
Well, this is pure frustration. It was from Hann after missing that black, but it's Appleton. He's the man with the chance.
The thing is, he's not doing anything about that red at the moment. Well, he's looking here to take that the red closest to the black into the right-hand corner and screw across and try and kick that red out. And if he does that, he's got the safety ball at the top, over the top left-hand pocket, that he'll still be able to pot.
He's got his bad red out now, Appleton, and the balls are now there for Darren Appleton. He knows it to knock out Quinton Hann.
It's certainly looking ominous for Quinton Hann now.
I think Darren just had a little word with himself there, you know, just geeing himself up. He knows this is his chance.
He just wants to drop the red in at the top left-hand corner. The red on the top rail will go past the yellow into that top right-hand corner.
30 seconds.
And did you see the look of determination on Darren's face when he was facing the camera?
Well, this is such a huge frame for Appleton. Position is the key. Wants to get on the red that's next to that yellow down the bottom of the table. If he gets on that and then he can play that into the corner, won't have to do anything with the white. He'll leave himself a straight red into the left-hand centre, and the black will go in the bottom right.
Yeah, I think he's just a bit concerned about running into the right-hand one of those 2 yellows in the balk area. Oh, that looks perfect.
Well, he's gone the other way, and it's not ideal. Going to guarantee himself a shot now on the black. Well, Appleton now, this is his last red. Down it goes, he's got a black now into the centre. This is to beat Quinton Hann. This for a place in the semi-finals. And to cap a fantastic performance. Down it goes and Hann is out. Darren Appleton has been in by 9 frames to 6. What a performance from the Yorkshireman. And just look at him, he's absolutely ecstatic.
A very emotional Darren Appleton. You can see just how much that meant to him. A great victory.
Great win. To beat Quinton like that, yeah, great win.
When all said and done, did he deserve it?
Definitely, why not? I mean, he's potted the balls, he's won the frames, and with all Quinton's games, he's still finished on top, so fair play.
And do you think he's got enough to go all the way and take the title this year?
Well, I think when you're beating Quinton like that, I believe you've got what it takes to go all the way, yes.
Absolutely, fair play. Well, let's just confirm that result and the rest of the quarter-finals. The top half of the draw, Mick Hill defeating Yannick Beaufils and Jason Twist coming through in a nail-biter against Carl Morris. Brian Holcrow, very comfortable victory over Cedric Superville. And we've just seen Darren Appleton defeat Australian Quinton Hann 9 frames to 6. So this is the semi-final lineup. The 2-time world champion, Jason Twist, up against the game's #1, Mick Hill. And Darren Appleton up against the outsider, but the sensation of the tournament so far, Brian Holcrow. It's been a brilliant evening's entertainment. Thanks for joining us this evening, Alec, and good luck next year with the team.
Thanks for having me, and I'll be back
Okay, well, that's all from us here in Blackpool. Until next time, from the 888.com Whirlpool Championships, goodbye.